All right. So, hello, everybody, and welcome back. This could be part two of the grid method. This is continuing the part of drought what you see, not what you know. Now, in our last video, we went ahead and we did just a basic grid method with my kitty, So we did a one-on-one scale. And then the next one we did was with an Adventist, where we started with one size and then we doubled the size. And in this time around, what I want to go ahead, I want to continue kind of going into this rabbit hole by actually also carrying over the color. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use some of the markers that I picked up at Five Below. And now we're going to go ahead and color this Nepenthes, okay? So I hope you guys like the video, so let's get going. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So for this, it's going to be nothing too crazy. So first of all, have your whatever illustration you grabbed or whatever which one you did, and then go ahead and have a vinyl eraser of some sort, or an eraser. If you have a mechanical pencil, they automatically come with them. So this is pretty much the same material right there. And from this, we're going to go ahead and we're going to gently erase some of the lines, especially some of the dead areas around this. And we're just going to kind of lighten it up. I don't want to fully get rid of it, but I just kind of want to lighten them up a little bit because I still want that reference. And some people fully remove them. I personally still like to have them in there. Now, normally I will say this is printer paper, so I will say probably not the best option for this, but you know, this is just a fun exercise. If I was doing more serious work, I would have done this in multimedia paper. But again, I'm trying to keep this as low budget and as fun as possible, especially if you're just like a kid or you're someone who don't have a lot of means, you know, just to kind of get you started. You know, this is supposed to be fun, not limit you due to like lack of resources. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this right here, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add some of these colors. Now, when you look at this plant, when you actually look at it, a lot of the base on it is a yellowish tone. I'm going to go right here. I'm going to test it right here on the side. So that's a yellowish tone, so kind of like a yellowish green. Oh, sorry, was that yellowish green? There we go. So maybe this one might be a little bit closer to what I need. But for the sake of sanity, let's go ahead and start with... kind of like that might be a little too yellow. Maybe this one. I think this one works a lot better. Let's go ahead and start with this tone. And you know, when you're just kind of doing this for fun, you're just kind of just again, don't get too caught up on like, oh my god, is it perfect, this and that. No, just do it, just have fun, don't overthink it. Alright, so right now we're just adding the base tone. And try to do with markers, try to go in the same direction. As you can see, I'm going from top to bottom. And because this is just like, what's it called? Just regular copy paper, as you can see, it's really absorbing a lot of this. So you can see right through it, but then it dries up to a different tone. Right, and I'm just trying to make this as solid as possible. Alright, my phone just keeps beeping. And these little areas where they're just kind of like scribbly, for right now I'm just kind of I'm just gonna try to stick inside the lines. And it's picking up, unfortunately, some of the... Hold on. If my phone keeps beeping, I just gotta make sure somebody not dying. Nope. Okay, so I'm gonna put a pin on this real quick because I need to take care of this, but I will be back and I'll pick up right where I left off. Please give me one moment. Alright, let's pick up where we left off. Okay, now that that's been addressed, let's go ahead and continue. Ooh. Okay, so what was I doing? Okay, yeah. Right through here. And what I like about markers, you know, markers are a whole new medium, but it's something that it took me a while to get used to. Mostly because when I was younger, I lacked a lot of confidence on myself. I always did the little hatch thing, and now I'm just kind of like, dip, 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 dip. And I just kind of developed my line of confidence. I don't overthink things as much anymore, at least when it comes to this stuff. But it also helped the fact that I learned that at some point I don't compare myself to other artists. I admire other artists and I study them and I go, hey, you know, I like their art style, you know, and I try to kind of, you know, learn what, you know, how they did it. I guess that's more what it came down to. So instead of me saying I suck because I'm not as good as this person, I go, wow, that is a neat technique. How do I do that? And it took me a long time to grow into the person that I am. Excuse me, today. Okay, so this is this yellow. Let's go ahead and now move on to the secondary color, which is green. So you can see there's some greens there. Okay, let's go from there. So there is, now I gotta be careful because you can see this is a really rich green. So right here you can see there is some shadows there. Like I said, if I mess it up, who cares? This is just fun. Okay. And this will get layered up as I go through. Okay, so right here you can see there is some greener colors down here at the bottom. And I'm kind of breaking these down as I go through. Now, some people, when they draw, they literally go by squares. So they'll go right here and they stop. But that doesn't work pretty well for me because you can see blatantly where I stopped if I ever were to like pretty much implement that technique. So I pretty much just kind of go one section at a time. So that's what works best for me. But it's up to you to experiment. Find out what works best for you. And right here, I'm going to go ahead. And I'm going to start that. This is going to be a layer up event. Now obviously there's less light, so the light's coming from here. So this was taken by my window downstairs. And I have a shelf where I put these on, so I know that for the fact the light is coming on that side, so this side is going to be darker. Okay, and let's go over here. Let's start adding some of these colors in here as well. And this would add a richer, even though it's red, by adding some of these colors, it would add a richer brown tone because it has all these other tones embedded into each other. Now what's happening right here when you look at it, there is kind of like a rim of shadow, but there's also light in the inside. So I'm just kind of leaving this area here alone. And then I'm going to add some of these darker colors in here. I'm going to give it a second pass. And it's funny, like I'm looking at the camera and this looks so much different on camera than it does actually in person, but the eye does funny things. So we got that. What should this say right down here? Layering. Okay, and there's gonna be some things up here. And the light source is technically coming from the thread. A few spots in here. Going to some shadows. And I'm looking at the pictures. I'm doing this. I'm not just kind of winging it. Okay, so we got that. Now, this doesn't have, it has some greens, but they're very subtle. So I'm going to be really careful with this green right here. And here's why. Because it's like a hunter's green, and nowhere in here do you see that heavy green. And if I do it, it just kind of breaks it. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put this to the side for right now. And then I'm going to try to go with either a flesh tone, because there are some golden colors in here, but I want to take a look at what this looks like first. He's got like that mid-tone orangey tone. You start enhancing these browns. And now we're just kind of building up towards our reds. We're just trying to add some of these orangey tones in here. Now in this area, this is kind of like a circular area, so you want to make sure that you're following the curvature. The surface, you don't want to go straight down. No, not. Seem to be extra popular today. So we get that. You can see right here there is some rims. And a lot of what is with painting with marker, one, you have to do several pieces to kind of get used to how they blend together. And different markers behave way differently, by the way. They all don't have the same behavior. Some of them have extra alcohol, some of them blend in a little nicer to each other, some of them are kind of harsh. So you kind of have to experiment and then kind of get used to. So right now, as I'm doing this, I'm looking at my bleed, and I'm also looking at my my ratio. How did they blend in well with each other? And right now I'm looking here. Most of my red tones right here on the base is coming from this little lip area right here. And this area right here definitely has some more peachy colors. It's lighter on one side there. Okay, so from there, we have that. Let's see. It will help. So this comes great with all these little spots that you're seeing in here. And they don't have to be perfect. Just have to kind of stand out. You can see right there. See what square, so I'm looking at this here right here. And you know, to the folks that are like super detail oriented, I have to give credit to you. I don't have that much patience anymore to be that super detail oriented that every spot has to be exactly the same. I just kind of just go with the flow. Like I try to get kind of a close loose concept of what I'm seeing. But I know of some people that they just do these beautiful photographic, photorealistic. I used to have one of my students that she already had prior art training before she came to my class. She just kind of ended up in my class due to work reasons, and man, she did these absolutely gorgeous photorealistic thing. I learned a lot from her. She's like, well, her fingers that she was just sewn out, and she just spent a lot of time on it. Her observational skills were phenomenal, and she just had a lot more patience than I did. You know, she became an assistant in my class, so she was really sweet girl. She got promoted. Really happy for her. Like I said, we're doing similar. Kind of going through. I'm going really delicate on there. Like I'm not even putting a lot of pressure on the marker. I just want that really feathery look on this. Fishing. Down here. Alright. Hopefully you guys didn't get the full blast of that. What you do is you just pretty much just build up the values. You just don't go straight for the right. Here you can see this kind of little shadowy areas there. And some of it is implied, unfortunately, because again, I don't have it was larger. First of all, this is a small photo, so it's a little harder for me to see some of the details. And two, my vision's kind of getting... Excuse me. I'm getting old, Yusuke. You get the reference. We can be friends. See, there's more spots. Yeah, and a lot of these like plants, when you actually look at them, people automatically go, oh, it's a leaf, it's green. When you actually really look at it, it's actually not quite green. It's like a yellowish tone, like a yellowish green, and it just has a lot of pigmentation out on top of it. So it's not quite, oh yeah, it's just green. Nope. And if you don't believe me, if you happen to have any like digital tools, go ahead and just grab a photo of that one item and then run it on there, and then you could easily see how, you know, when you sample any of the colors, that the colors themselves are not what you think they are. There's been some where I thought it would be like a gray, and then when I sampled I realized it was like a grayish blue, tints of blue. As you can see right now, these spots are just mostly implied right now. They are not anything that is like, oh, it's 1000%. That's exactly what that looks like. Right. There you go. So that's getting, build up is getting better. Here, let's go ahead and add. You can see the red. I gotta be real careful. Very rich. Here. Here. Here, I'm gonna add some. Remember, it's supposed to be organic, so you don't want to go too perfect with you. Alright, don't mind me if I don't say much, it's just there really isn't much to say at this point. Okay, but you can see how I've been slowly building up these values as I go through, and even though I'm adding some of these tones, especially with these richer reds, I'm just kind of building it up, not just straight up going in there. Now there's these little spikes right here in this area right here. It's kind of hard to see, so I'm going to zoom in a little closer. But if you go to the plant, there's these little spikes here. And while I might not be able to like just straight up identify them, or not really identify them, but just draw every single strand, I can imply that there's a division right here, so I'm going down. So far that's looking pretty good. Okay, so the next part that I want to do is kind of start building some of these up. So we got some of these spots. They are not quite, how do you say, they're not they're a brown, and I do not have a brownish tone. The question is, how do I get this brownish tone? Do I keep just layering this up until I get something darker? So that might be an option, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And I'll give it a second pass because there is a gradient. Yeah, this peach is as close as I'm gonna get. These, you can see they're progressively darker, especially in this area back here. There's that. Let's see, I said I'm too scared to use this green, and there are no purples in here, or maybe there is. Let me test it out here in this corner. I wonder what happens. Actually, I might work the gray. Okay, so it's just light enough. Ooh, yeah. So that is exactly what I did, just to get some of these tones. It's not quite black, which I don't want. There we go. Allows me to provide a fine line there. There is a little bit of lighting coming in here, so I'm gonna try to still. And back here. Right here, let's add some depth up here in some of these grays, so it pushes this back a little bit. Stand out. Okay, that's not too bad. Personally, I kind of like it. And then right here, there is some. Now make sure if you're using marker and then you're gonna go to another piece, make sure you go to a piece of paper. And then make sure if there's any residual color, like especially when you go from like the yellows and the whites and stuff like that, make sure you try to clear it out, because what'll happen is it'll pick up some of the heavier or the more saturated tones into the tip, and then you accidentally bring in a tone you might not want into your next art piece. There we go. It's starting to get more depth in there. I think I did too much right there. That's okay though. It's just me experimenting. And believe it or not, this whole time I just kind of been going by quadrants. It's just that I haven't been as heavy with measuring it out. I am making mild adjustments as I go through. And I'm going between this and the camera because it looks different here versus what I'm seeing in the camera. Alright, so that's looking pretty neat. And that's pretty dope. I like that. Like I said, not a lot of green. If you actually ever own one, these things do not have a lot of green on them. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start giving this a nice solid pass. Alright, this is right more peachy. Notice that a lot of that pencil line, minus a few spots, is kind of dissipated. Okay, here we go. And again, this is something that you know, just start with like little things and then build your way up, and just a lot of observation. So especially if you have a much higher quality image, just really take a look at it. I just got to the point where, you know, I can look at something and go, hey, you know, my brain says green, but I'm looking at it, it's like, no, that's more like a yellow. I can kind of already figure out what's what. Yep, that's looking not too bad. Could definitely use more green in here. Show that this is the inside picture. The inside of the picture is actually kind of interesting because it'll have a similar color tone out here than it does in here because it is a delicate leaf. But when you're trying it, it's a little harder to show those differences. Okay. Let me see. Maybe one more thing that's in here. It does look like there's a little bit of blue in here, but let's see. That's not right. Let's test it. Just little enough. Then, to kind of add some contrast. Plus, it kind of helps with the. It kind of helps to show that, hey, there's a sky nearby, which there was. It's the window. Don't hit my windows. Yep. Phone's beeping. But you beepy phone. What you beeping? Everybody done. Okay, oh, distracted by the. It's okay. It's okay. You just kind of mess around with this stuff. Here we go. It's actually, I think it's kind of adding some richness to it. This is not, now you have contradicting, you have those complementary tones working with each other, and the shadows look more, how you say, it looks more natural. First thing you're taught in art school is that shadows are not black. So this right here, it brings it a new, really nice tone of, and an organic to it. Normally, you know, back then there would be a better shadow, but I didn't draw the hand. This is mostly. So see that now it's a little bit richer, there's more contrast to it. And you know, that's the thing with color. It's okay you mess it up. Sometimes it actually gives you some really interesting results. So there's that. Oh. Okay, and I think up here, need a little bit more up there. This seems like there's a lot of detail here and here, and not a lot up there. Here, right here is kind of faint between both of them. I do need to start removing some of this pencil. I doubt it'll remove now because there's so many layers of marker now, but you can still try. That's why I say just make it light. There's a few spots I purposely left it alone. Nope. Well, that looks a little cleaner. Okay. And right here. Go. Ah. Excuse me. My apologies. Not mean to be rude or nasty. My apologies. Okay. Okay, and I do believe I have a white marker. Give me a second. Where did I put it? Here it is. So I picked up one of these. It was for going away. It's called Posca. And they are these just really unique markers. And I picked this up mostly to help my friend sign his stuff. It doesn't look like it's picking up a lot on this, which is a shame, but this is another form of marker too. And I need to try this on black paper. That's on my next to do thing. So it doesn't look like it's doing too much, which is fine. I do have blending markers. Blending markers are right. Right. Mostly alcohol, if I may be frank. See, rather kind of blending, not by much. It looks like it's missing something. Okay, so I was hesitant to use the yellow, but I am gonna try it. Let me see. This is too much. Down here you can see a bit of a shadow down here. Alright, and I think with that I am pretty close to done. There's not much to do to this. So all I have to do is go to the rest of the sheet here. Go ahead and erase the rest. And this you want to do very carefully. Like I said, this is just printer paper. So that's why some of the textures did not blend in or do certain things. Can I go further with this? Absolutely. Am I going to? Not. No. Mostly because I'll be using a lot of art material on a very just normal paper, and if I'm going to be doing something more high caliber, I'm probably going to use more of my professional paper more than this. It's kind of irritating. Anything extra? Now be careful when you use erasers on markers. Make sure they are dry, because unfortunately if you don't, you accidentally smear the ink with the eraser, so be careful. So with these markers, they seem to be holding okay. See right here, a lot of it has gone away. There we go, and that is actually not too bad. I am actually pretty proud of myself. And again, these are not fancy markers. The only one that's kind of fancy was this one. And with this, I'm going to play with these for. I'm going to play with these on black paper. So Posca, like I said, a basic set of them. I saw them at Michael's. It was like $50. I'm like, hell no. These $5, $5 at Five Below. And like I said, I'm going to try to do a lot of these lessons doing just entry-level materials, and as you can see, you can come up with a pretty good design or pretty good results with entry-level supplies. Whoever tells you need the fanciest stuff to be a good artist is a lie. That's just skill. Comes down to skills. But anyway, the next one that I'm probably going to try to do, there was a portrait of myself. I think I'm going to skip on that for now. Actually, you know what? I should. I should just do it just because when I'm overdue for a portrait. And we could talk about, I'm eventually going to talk to you guys about anatomy. But maybe I should try a portrait. I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on this right now. But yeah, we'll get back to this. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoy this episode or this lesson. And like I said, I'll keep putting these together for you guys as I go through. I do welcome the feedback. If you have anything, if you know any other techniques, I always welcome. And like I said, I'm not one of these people like, oh, I know everything. I don't know everything. I still consider myself a student of the world. So if you have any interesting techniques or and some of you guys know, like you see me, like you'll reach out to me and I'll respond and I'll ask you questions. So if you have any really cool comments or anything, I welcome those. I always do. And but that's it. But anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Cheers.